Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Beach Court Podcast. We are starting a new season this week in Baltimore. I am very excited. This is going to be a lot of fun episode. We're going to have so much information from Baltimore. We're going to do our tier list, some meta prediction. I've got some questions for the boys that they haven't seen yet, so I'll give them some good questions. We're also going to update our world's qualification document that Maddox is the GOAT and puts together for us the last couple of years. So we'll update that because Pokemon had some changes to their format and structure in the best finish limit. Also, we're going to discuss the new changes to the tournament structure that you can expect in Baltimore and discuss what you should be doing to make sure that you can put yourself in the best position to win that tournament. My name is Eric Ridgway. This is Parker Greenwald, and that's Max Corcoran. We're back. We're back, guys. It's a new season. It's the clean slate. What do you guys think? How you feeling?
Um, Hopefully I can get some points on the board here in Baltimore. But yeah, no, it's definitely super exciting. I wish we knew where, all the regionals are, or maybe
Yeah,
they're only doing like six or whatever. Or,
yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to think that, but you know, I'm excited.
yeah. It's gonna
Yep,
be a
I
good
think
time.
definitely. I'm excited to get back to it. Just playing at major events like regionals are just so much fun and so great to see everyone and just see the meta continue to like develop as we go to these tournaments. And unfortunate that this is like a continuation of the Worlds format. There's Stellar Crown that a lot of people are excited about, but the next few tournaments after this are going to be really, really big. Just as developing a new format. But yeah, it's always good to get back to it. And I, like Parker, do want to get some points on the board, but the harder part is not just getting the points on the board; it's keeping them on the board and keeping your spot on the board with the new top 125 system. So that's gonna change up a lot of how this goes. So I'm really kind of curious to see how this season plays out.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, one of the things I'm most excited for, we got Parker Greenwald back in action in 2024, 25. So I'm very excited to see him compete. Maybe we'll get some of those rusty hands off of you this weekend, Parker, and we can get you a
Dude,
nice little run in there. I know it's been rough lately. I know it's been rough lately.
one
Uh,
could pray.
Talk about your cup this weekend. I know you had a cup, and you said like you just had unplayable hands like most of the games.
Yeah, so
What did
I
you
went
decide
to
to
the
play?
versus I went to the versus games cup. I played Reggie Drago, and I think there was like 46 masters or something, and there was
Six Masters.
like 42 of them are just like good players. So, like it was tough competition. I played against Owen Rhodes round one, and we had a very, very weird game. Basically I got turn two Kyurem to kill his two Charmanders. Um
Pretty good.
and he started Radiant Zard, and then Kyurem was like literally the only attacker I had access to. And next turn, I went like, you know, I thought long and hard about it because he got two more Charmanders down. I was like, take five prizes. I just need to like Radzard for a game basically, and uh yeah, so I Trifrosted again, took three prizes. So I've taken five prizes. All he has is Pidgeot on the board. But he played absolutely insane to to come back, and he forced a tie.
Hmm.
Which like at the point in the game where we tied, he didn't have a way to win really. Like he had, in addition to breaking, also bad prizes, but he played like really, really insane. I was actually like commending him on like how well he played that game.
Yeah.
But next round played Dragomir. I started Teal Mask. I benched Radiant Zard Pass. And
Hmm.
he got the turn to Dragapult. I was like, draw, bench another Teal Mask. He's like, boss, knockout. Like, okay, you got this one. But he also like had Teal Mask active and he's like Phantom Dive. Like if I call a judge on this, like I'll just look like a dick because there's no way I'm winning this game. So I was like, whatever, man. And then
Happens. Yeah, happens.
yeah, next round got absolutely destroyed by the junior. Um, Never even attacked. He just raging bolted for three turns
Yep.
and was like,
Yep.
"You can have the win. I'm the only junior." It's like, "Oh, thank God." And then played against Josh Cohen the was the next
Oh, you
round?
played against Cohen?
Yeah, I played against Josh Cohen. I won the coin flip, played the Drago mirror, and I went just like all the way through my deck without seeing a V star until I finally went like I could pull off a big play because he'd taken three prizes. Like it's like I could prime catcher and Iono. And the Iono decked me out because I had drawn that many cards without seeing a V star. And
It really do be like that
yeah,
sometimes, right?
yeah, I played the Iono. I took the two cards in my hand and I like put them under the four in my deck. I was like, "Oh, you got it." I was like, "Bro."
Dang,
It'd
rough.
be like
Yeah,
that though. That's how cups go, man. Especially large cups. You got to go so well, and just you got to draw really well. But
pretty much, yeah. In this today's format, definitely.
yeah, Maddox, where are you? Because I'm in your old room.
Yeah, I'm in the virtual setup as you can see by the Fusion Mew background. But I'm on the road. I'm visiting family a little bit before Baltimore Regionals. Always nice. I'm actually up in Boston at the time of recording, but I'll be back in Baltimore just in time for the event. I actually did go to a cup this past weekend. There was a cup out here in Boston. Had a good time. Got to meet some folks. Met Sable. I know from Pokemon Twitter. So always good to see someone on Pokemon Twitter and then see them in real life, which is another reason why regionals are great. So I had a nice time at the cup here. I, you know, I made like a couple mistakes in the two games that I lost, but like those mistakes were like the exploitable moments where it's like I got turned around on that. And then one of them, and I look back and yes, there was a game against a Raging Bolt where I honored them to one and bumped their Pokestop, and they still find knockout. But like but I could have played better leading up to that, so I can't like fault it totally on that, even though it's like sometimes if they don't have an energy switch which can then get concealed cards into another energy retrieval, right, like all those pieces. So I'm not too concerned about it. I'm really just looking ahead to the game in Baltimore this weekend. And yeah, again, hopefully some of Parker and I's maybe bad luck, bad hands skirt away, and then
Yeah,
start a little hot in Baltimore, best of three. So right, Parker, what you played 4 or 5 games of Pokemon in Baltimore, or sorry, not in Baltimore at the Cup, but in Baltimore you'll play
27.
Any more than that.
16 to 27 in just the first day, right? So
Oh,
so again, all things kind of average out there. So just going to focus on playing my best, and I know I'll make some mistakes, but we'll try to keep them to a minimum.
Yeah, yeah. I also played in the cup this weekend and last week, and I got second last weekend with Reggie Drago. I lost to a good friend Anthony in Tallahassee in the finals. Really close set in the finals. He was playing Ancient Box. Played against four of them that day, so got some experience to play against Ancient Box. Played in the
Mhm.
cup yesterday. I played Ancient Box. There was like 14 Masters. It was a smaller cup. I should have did better than I did. There was like 5 or 6 Ancient Boxes yesterday.
Very
so
popular deck locally.
I was like, man, but I was playing the spicy unfair stamp tech yesterday, so that helped a little bit in the matchups I hit against them. But bricked against Maridon, lost against a traditional lost box, which both of my opponents ended up making finals of the cup. So not unhappy about that. But it just be what it be. And we'll just move on. Like you said, we're ready for Baltimore, ready for a fresh start. We got a new season. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Anyways, I'm going to be sharing the Pokemon website. Just want to run through for everyone that hasn't heard this already. The new tournament structure at the regional championships. Pokemon has made some changes to this season that you need to know. So I'm going to be mostly talking about Masters, but the same rules do apply for juniors and seniors that do listen. Um, Basically, we're going to have over 2,449 people, and that is the threshold now to have 9 rounds. So last season, we had 9 rounds every day one for Masters, pretty much. There was a threshold also, but like it's different now. It's harder to hit this number, the 9 round threshold. Maybe Louisville, we might not. But for Baltimore, we should hit this threshold. So that means we'll have 9 day 1 rounds and we'll have 4 day 2 rounds. That's different than what we were used to with 9 and 6. So 2 less rounds total. There will be an asymmetrical top cut to top 8 in day 2. So as long as you can get to that threshold, If you're tied, you won't bubble out. You will have a play-in round 2 top 8. Additionally, to make it to day 2, to have a chance to fight for that asymmetrical cut, you have to obtain 21 match points. That means that you have to win 7 games of Pokemon or win 6 and tie 3. Those are your only 2 options to get to that total because you've got 9 rounds. So I want to talk about that. Was there anything else I want to talk about on this page? That's mostly what I want to talk about. The prizing's updated, so this is kind of important for a lot of people that listen to this podcast. There is Pokemon packs of cards. Everyone gets packs all the way down to top 256 now this year, which is a change from 64 last year. So that's a pretty good improvement. So if you make top 128 or top 256, don't go home empty-handed. Make sure you figure out how to get your
Holy
packs.
cow.
And if you
Um,
scroll to the right,
128's a box?
is top 2000. Okay, so with 2000 with over 2049
Oh, yeah.
people,
You're right.
even top 512 gets 9 packs.
Oh
So
my
you get a quarter of a
goodness.
box.
Yeah, so everyone from the 2049 or better, wait, top 512 or better will get 9 packs. If that threshold is
Dang.
hit, which it should be in Baltimore. So
And
top
that's a
512.
box for top 128. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
box
think that's great.
128.
Again, it encourages people to keep playing, even if you have a tough start and you want to stick it out, and then you go and say, "Hey, I went to a Pokemon tournament. I went, I don't know, maybe 5-3, maybe 5-2-1, maybe 5-1-2, something like that."
Got prizing.
And so, yeah, you get some booster packs,
Yeah.
right? Which doesn't totally replace your $70 entry, but it beats your friends that went 0-3 drop and went home with nothing.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. That's me.
Yeah, I mean this is
Nah.
gonna be this is a game changer for people. I know this is something we were kind of harping on last year, and I'm happy to see that those changes are made. What else kind of stands out to you before I jump into my main topic that I want to discuss? Is there anything else that stands out to you into this year's changes that you guys want to call out?
I actually didn't know the packs went that deep. Like I guess I did, but I thought it was like 9 packs for top 128. But like a whole box?
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, it's very
It's
good.
actually
I mean,
yeah,
top
it's good
128,
to
you're
see that.
basically making your entry fee back, right?
Yeah, or like a little more. But yeah.
Yeah, for the longest time, right, top 64, even at a 2,500 person regional, you would get half a booster box,
Yeah,
which was like, it's like I had to do a lot to get this. And
Yeah.
sometimes you bubbled out of top 32, so you didn't get money, right? So all those pieces. So just having more packs and just more incentive, right? Obviously, there's still a bubble for money. Obviously, a booster box or two is not as good as money for some.
yeah,
But in this case, saying, hey, even if you don't make day 2 or you lose your winning into day 2, right? You're still walking home with prizing, which is a lot more than we could say in past seasons.
right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. And it goes back to that same old argument, how like last year top 128 didn't get anything else compared to like what one person had the day before at top
Yeah.
256 or or something. So at least now you've got a little bit more to play
10
for
more
to get 10
points.
more points and a full sealed box of cards instead of a half a box. It's kind of nice. So cash is still top 32. Kind of like our good friend Pokedool said, make sure you are being smart with your financials. If you can't afford it, choose a different hobby, probably. Um, that was a pretty funny tweet. Anyways, let's get to the important topic. We talked about it, the structure. You've got 9 rounds if you have 2049 players. You got 8 if you don't. The number is even. It's an even number now. It's 21. It used to be 19 match points. So a tie in the previous format last year didn't hurt you. So what do you think, Parker? What do you think players should do to kind of like change in this format? Should they be playing faster decks? Should they learn when to concede better? Should they be trying to get a gentleman's agreement to, have a match winner early in day 1? What's your opinion on that topic?
So for the first two, yes. For the third one, it's gonna be like maybe. So like if you can get a gentleman's agreement out, I think it's almost just better for both players. However, not everyone's gonna agree to that. I wouldn't bank on your round one opponent taking a gentleman's agreement, but you never know.
Yeah,
Um, the number one thing is just like play faster. If you don't see a route to winning, your opponent's just got it. Like you can, they're drawing hot. Just concede, go to the next game. Um, that's gonna be kind of the best way. The decks now, like mostly, are kind of almost built to finish 3 games, just because like format's very fast. Whereas like past couple formats, we was all like setup decks like Gardevoir and like Charizard, like dude, like those were like the main contenders, and like now it's just like I kill your two prizer, you kill my two prizer, I kill your two prizer,
Hmm.
game's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Yep. But
So
but
when you
yeah,
sit down round one, are you going to offer your opponent a gentleman's agreement?
if they're playing slow, I probably will mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Max, what's your take?
I think that it's not necessarily terrible to take a tie. That kind of remains, and I think the majority of people that go to a regional are not necessarily concerned with, winning the entire thing or following all the proper steps to make it to day two in that regard. It's not, at the end of the day, a tie is a match point, which does help, even if you are in a position where you're trying to make the next day of competition, right? You still can afford to take a tie or two ties. Ultimately, I think that players need to know that if you're trying to make it to the second day of competition, you need to get 6, 7 wins. And if you tie a round, that means that you have not won that round. So the way that I'm still kind of undecided of whether I'll be offering Dick Gentlemen's to start. But I do think that, players should be aware that, think about it from, all perspectives of if, your goal is to get those wins. And if you're in a position where you are heavily winning, or you think, hey, if this game plays out, I would win, but then you run out of time, then that's something that hurts. It's like, okay, if I played a little faster, I could have completed this game. Or if I had made a gentleman's agreement and my opponent honored it, then I could have gotten the win for this game. So, I found myself at, World Championships where we played in the same format. Either the game's resolving very quickly or finding a spot where in the end game or, in the final turns of a game three, us being able to discuss the board state and come to a agreement on how that game would end type of thing. So I would really just kind of encourage players, if you're not playing a fast deck, if you're playing a deck that is prone to potentially tying, be aware of that and play mindfully of that. Offer that gentleman's if you think you want to have that established straight out the gate. But if not, know that if you want to make the second day, you have to win 7 games. And if you lose 1 game and tie 2 games, you cannot win 7 games anymore. So whether or not you decide to offer gentlemen's agreements or not, just be aware of that.
Yeah.
So be mindful. If your goal is to make that second day, play fast. Play fast enough, right? Don't play too fast that you're reckless and make mistakes.
Right.
But play mindfully and acknowledge if you have a board position that's totally lost and you say, hey, it's been 10 minutes. I could try to drag this out for another 10. Or I could try to win the next game in, right, or try to win the next 2 games in 40 minutes. I would say try to win the next 2 games in 40 minutes, right? That's going to work out much better for you than trying to claw back from a losing position and then be in an even worse spot to try to recover and win the set.
Right. Yeah, no, well said. I definitely agree with everything both of you said, and I wanna add to this that some of our listeners might not know what gentlemen's agreements even means. So I want to give a brief explanation to add on to that for context for people that don't know what it means. What it means is a gentleman's agreement is an agreement between you and your opponent on some type of way to solve the outcome of a game three in a set of a best of three game. So there's a couple ways you can do that. There is you and your opponent can agree to, hey, whoever's ahead on prizes after the end of 3 turns wins. You and your opponent can make that agreement either before the game, anytime during the game, even like before game three, you can discuss it then too, right? Anytime you can discuss it. An important keynote here: judges are not involved in this at all. Judges cannot hold someone accountable for a gentleman's agreement. It is just kind of what it says, like a gentleman agreement. You kind of have to hold yourself to a good standard in the community if you want to do something along those lines. Because people do take note when you do make a gentleman's agreement and don't hold it. So you got the board state as one. Sorry, the prizes as one, and the other would be board state where you and your opponent discuss like, oh yeah, he has 2 prizes left. Yeah, you just signed to me. Okay, I've got boss in hand for game next turn anyways. Something along those lines. Sometimes it gets a little complicated with board state, so just keep that in mind. And you and your opponent only have, I think legally you get like 1 minute to discuss kind of like your result of your game before signing your mat slip. And if you don't do it by that point, I believe that's when you both get a match loss. So just be careful and mindful of if you do decide to go down that route. So those are some ways and more information about gentleman's agreement. Do you guys want to add anything to that? Did I miss anything?
I just wanted to add like the deciding for the based off of prizes. That's similar to like sudden death rules or in Top Cut, right? And when a game requires a conclusion, such as in, you can look at finals from this past from 2023 World Championships for an example, right? They're in the middle of game three, and once the final turn three is completed, then they evaluate the board and say who was ahead on prizes. So that's why that's kind of a popular one to be used, and it's also pretty objective. So maybe if you're new to entering gentlemen's agreements or want to offer them, we say, hey, if game three is not completed by the time that, if we haven't completed the game naturally by the time that our turns are up or by time is called, then you can have those last three turns to go ahead on prizes. That's a pretty easy way to objectively say, okay, you're ahead on prizes, things like that. Some decks, right? If you're playing a comeback deck like a Gardevoir, if you're playing a Snorlax stall, a Pidgeot control, they're not taking prizes, so you're a little bit less keen for that. Those are maybe you have to discuss board state a little bit, but board state again can be very difficult to discuss, especially if you're not as familiar with the matchup, and things can get a little more contentious. So something of prizes is generally pretty cut and dry. It's a number. Who's ahead on prizes? Okay, we're tied on prizes at the end of three turns. Does the person have a way to take a prize the next turn? If yes, they're ahead. If no, then that's game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And so before we jump to our next topic, which is Maddox's world documentation and talking about the qualification for top 125 and what we think our updated point standard is, I've got one direct question from each of you. Maddox, I'll start with you first. Do you think Pokemon needs to modify their rules to allow sudden death in Swiss?
No.
Matt Parker, what's your take on that?
No.
No. Okay. Both of you say no. I'm of the belief that they should change it to be sudden death in Swiss. We want a winner. There's no other game that they have, VGC, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Unite. None of these other games end in a tie. Especially when you think about the stream and the audience and how it feels for a person watching the stream and wanting to have good quality content, and increase your viewership. A match result is a good thing. No one wants to see a match end in a tie. We want a winner. It's like even like football. You look at football. There's so many ways there's a way to tie in football, but it's very difficult to get there. Maybe it's that, hey, after three turns, if no one's ahead, then that's when it's a tie. Maybe that's okay. But I would love to see some changes, especially since they're requiring the 21 match points, and we're in this format of like, now I feel like I have to try to do this gentleman's agreement, which is kind of like in the rules, but it's like, it's to my advantage to try to do that because I want to get to those 7 wins and try to win the tournament, right? So from a competitive standpoint, I believe they should make those changes eventually, but we'll see where they go. So we can close on that topic. I'm very passionate about that topic. I love that it's 7-2, right? I hate the whole like ID in the day 2 thing. I hate that. I want to see a match result. I like winners, and that's just how it goes. So next up, Maddox, we've got the top 125 this year. We all know what's top 125. We had a big announcement after Worlds. Pokemon came out and said, "Hey, we've evaluated again. Your best finish limit is now 5. It's not 6." And they also combined the international championships with the regionals. Was it that way before? It was already that way before, right?
It was already that way, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was already that way before. So,
well, sorry. It was that way when they initially announced the 2024-2025 changes. It wasn't that way last season.
Okay.
Yeah, so when they announced the changes for this season, it was already ICs and stuff combined. But now that your best finish limit is 5, it kind of like limits the IC travel pay to play thing. And it rewards people with better finishes. So Maddox, if you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen.
I can go and touch that again. So again, this is a revised version of our original Road to Worlds PowerPoint slide. This will still be available on our link tree for anyone who referenced it before. We have the new updated version, talking about the new changes with a new best finish limit of 5. And then also the changes they scaled back some of the IC points. So our original estimate has adjusted. So we saw the full numbers in here about how, our finishes or how our seasons would have changed and how other players would have changed. We're not going to touch on all that now, but all that is available on the link tree for you to go through. But our new updated revision is, we're expecting that top 125 to fall between 750 and 850. Before we had previously listed between 800 and or between 850 and 950, we dropped it down just since we have one less major event finish as well as the lower number of points for an IC finish, which has overall brought the scale of points down. Our personal goal for all three of us here is going to be targeting that 850, which is a lofty goal with only 5 majors to go to, or sorry, with only 5 majors to count towards that best finish limit. But it is doable, and here's a few of the paths that you can see for it. So again, we've changed a little bit of how it's, again, this is really dependent on how many IC finishes you can get. There is a boost to those IC finishes, but you're not totally dependent on going to an IC finish. So we have a couple different scenarios laid out here. The main one here is, right, we're seeing this kind of average of 120 points per major event. This is if you're maxing out your challenges and cups. So, a top 64 getting you 100 points, and then a top 32 getting you 120 or 125 points, and then a top 128 getting you at an IC getting you 120 points. So seeing the scaling matter a little bit more there. Again, you don't need to finish as high at an IC as you would at a regional to get the same points. However, right, there are much more opportunities to go to regionals and special events to get those higher finishes. The one that I want to point out here is that, a lot of these finishes, the level of consistency that you need to be able to get top 32s, top 64s at a regionals is very, very difficult. And, we see a very high caliber of player, the one that he's able to achieve that. And I think one that, we can all agree is very deserving of that World's invitation based off of those strong finishes. Now, the one that I do want to point out is again, we talked about this last time we had the presentation, but the ability to go and spike at a regional to get a top 8 at a regional is tremendous for your chances for the World Championships, right? A top 8 finish gets you 280 points at a regional, which, look, I mean, is massive, right? To get 280 points from one of your events is incredible. So here we see, while this third column did not have as high of placements at regionals special events throughout the season, before that they only got to one IC, they only got to a couple couple day twos, but they had that one top 8. That one top 8 puts them in such a strong position to get their Worlds invite. And one could argue rightfully so, right? There's only so many major events in a season. And if you took the top 8 from every major event the past season, you probably have a pretty competitive World Championships. So someone who's able to go and get a top 8 at a major event, as well as have solid finishes, not a one and done, but again, having other solid day 2 finishes, showing up to an IC, getting some good points there, taking care of the local finishes, puts them in a very, very strong position to make it to the World Championships. So I just want to ask the guys if there's any comments on, this slide. Again, kind of a lofty goal here. Personally, I'm going for the last column. I would love to get back in the top 8 and, get it that way. And then that way, even if the rest of the tournaments don't go too well, then that's okay. Because, had that strong finish and are able to keep going from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things you touched on is the ability to try to get top 8, right? It's if you feel that the deck that you have the most confident in is a good play, whether we at this podcast or any podcast or YouTube company tells you that it's not a good play, but you've tested your matchups and you've played it, play the deck, because the comfort you have in your deck will lead you to that top 8 finish. And look no further than Max Corcoran last year. Mew was not a great play for a lot of the tournaments that he played Mew, but
Whoa.
he was very good with Mew when he understood his matchups and he practiced the bad ones and learned how to beat them, to have the best chance to win those matchups, right? Anyone who tests and practices can take a 40-60 matchup and turn it into a 50-50. That's all it takes is effort, right? Just do it. So, play that comfort deck, no matter what we say coming up in the tier list.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, right, decks cycle through the circle of the meta. And if a deck that you're comfortable with isn't the best pick for a tournament, then that means that there is one tournament that it is the best pick for. And if you happen to be at that right tournament and you happen to be playing your best and you happen to hit a little bit of luck along the way too, then that might just be that deep run that you need. So I think it's totally fine to take that deck you're comfortable with and just, keep hammering it. And then, if you're playing well and focusing on your matchups and again, at the end of the day, you'll need to get a little bit lucky just to do well at any tournament or do well in the game in general. But I think a lot of it is, you control with your skill and your practice. So that way, when the opportunity is right for you, then you're ready to claim it. So, yeah, again, lofty goal here, but again, really stressing that top 8 importance here. A little bit lower on the range again. That 750. We do think that there's a world where this is close to that range as well. This is a little bit more. I mean, again, just isn't as high of an expectation. They have such few. You only have those 5 IC or regional finishes combined that you get to use. So each of those finishes have to be more impactful to cover that. So again, here we see a couple different scenarios, a little bit of a mixed finishes, but again, this 3 IC competitor is able to get a top 64, which then puts him in a pretty good position as well. If you're only making it that 1 IC, right? Here's this, pretty strong performance from a player, but one that I think is still going to be, kind of on the bubble, which is, kind of tricky to say, right? Top 32 at a regional, top 32 at an IC, a couple of other day 2 finishes hitting at that 745 mark. It's going to be kind of right on the line there. So, even from what I would see, this is a strong season of just 4 finishes, maybe falling a tiny bit short. So something to look out for here of, maxing out those 5 finishes to just give you the best chances that you can, to be able to go for it. Let's see. One other thing I just wanted to call out is if your goal is to get 820 points or more in the season, that means that you have to mathematically have earned cash at one event. Unless, all right, a special event, if you get a top 32 at a special event, you might not get cash prizing. But assuming it's a regional or ICs that you only go to, if you're getting more than 820 points, that means that mathematically you have to have earned cash at one tournament. So if you've never earned cash at a tournament before, then hey, there's something to shoot for. That's kind of, hey, if you're trying to go for more than 820, then today's your breakout year. If you have earned cash in an event before, well then hey, it's 820 is well within your reach because you've done it before. So I think just it's gonna be a lot to see. We'll see how this develops a lot as the season goes. But again, we're really just hammering getting those challenges and cups finishes, taking care of the local points, because that's going to be important since you have only those 5 majors to accumulate points at. So those finishes at the majors you go to. So again, anything you can do to maximize your finish at a major event. If you have a deck you're comfortable with and you're going to make a push for top 8, a strong day 2 finish, or even just, playing the best that you can to get to that 7 wins, 2 losses, to have a chance to win the whole tournament, to play for that asymmetrical cut and have a chance at a big top 8 finish.
Anyone want to guess how many players have already maxed out their challenges and cups?
2. It might be more.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
when I looked, it was.
Yeah, I don't know. They had 2 or 3 maybe.
It's 3. Matt Chong.
It's 3 now.
Juan Andre from Chile, and I don't know how to pronounce Hassan's name. Hassan Kunuku. I've never seen that name before, but yeah, congratulations to those 3. They already have 260 points, so you don't have to go to single cup or challenge the rest of the season.
Lots of season left though, so if you're not maxed out on, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
And of course, right, if you don't want to max out your cups and challenges, just go win a regional, and you're all done. So
yeah. Or top 4 in IC.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
if winning a regional was already hard enough. So,
wait, isn't it finals now also at a regional?
No, regional you still have to win.
Was it not? Are you sure on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm only the guy who put together the PowerPoint.
No, that's fair. I don't know why I thought it was like.
No, I'm pretty sure it's still you have to win it. Which I see a world where you could add it to finalists, but I'm pretty sure they didn't make that change.
Maybe we just talked about that. Yeah.
No. And again, just to further illustrate the value of a top 8, I'm just going to show here our comparison, our updated comparison, right? And we see, 2 pretty solid finishes, 2 pretty solid seasons from 2 different players, all the same finishes. One player maybe lost an asymmetrical cut, end up with that top 16. The other player won and made it into top 8. It's a swing of 120 points, which is still, again, I just cannot stress how massive of a swing that is, right? This is 800 saying, hey, you're maybe in that, 120, 130 range potentially. I guess at 100 to 120 range, if you're at 920 points, then you're probably well within that, 75, 60, 50, comfortable. Again, if you're able to have the time to prepare for a tournament and you have a deck that you enjoy and that you're very comfortable with, and that's a good play, spend as much time as you can practicing, because that could just be your event to go and spike and have an incredible time and make it to the World Championships because of it.
Yeah, that's crazy. 120 points between top 16 and top 8. That's wild. Yeah, if you found this content helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, comment below. If you have any questions about how to qualify for the World Championships, drop them below or to our Twitter account at Beach Court Pod. I love if you follow on there as well. We love engaging with you guys. That's, as you saw a couple episodes ago, you guys are what it's all about. Appreciate you guys listening, Max. Thanks for putting that together. That was a lot of fun. But let's transition now to our next topic, which is going to be our trivia segment. But before we get there,
Oh,
we've got to give a shout out to Nakama Anime Cafe. They are our sponsor. They continue to sponsor this podcast. We've got our League Cup coming up. It will be on September 22nd. We do have
21st.
a
21st.
sorry, 21st. Yeah, he sent me the wrong date. 21st. Start time will be 12 o'clock noon. You can register at 11 o'clock. It will be a 30-person cap. It will be $30, and there will be trophies, mats, and prize packs for prizing. In addition to the mat that you get. Yeah, and Parker, you'll be judging, I assume, or
Yeah, it
judging
might
that.
be. We'll see.
Okay,
We'll see.
Nakama
We
does have
had
streams now, by the way, so you guys can tune into our stream and watch the cup unfold.
And you will be able to see Baltimore finalists, Parker and Eric at Nakama Cup.
Parker, I'm scooping.
We're
to
not sure which
finals,
one
buddy.
will win in finals yet, but you'll have to watch this
I'm
weekend to
scooping
find
to
out.
Parker for sure. Parker's the goat. He got me into this. I'm scooping to Parker. We're splitting.
Y'all can split that 3K.
We're
I'd
splitting.
give you the-
We're splitting the cash, and I'm scooping to Parker.
I'd give you the points. I just need the money.
Nah. I want you at Worlds, buddy. Anyways, so thanks Nakama for your continued support. But without further ado, let's jump into trivia. You guys are ready for this? You do your homework?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay, well
I s-
usually I ask you how many Pokemon EX are in a set. That's
Oh.
usually
Yeah.
what I would
I
do.
was thinking that could be for like 2 weeks from now, and there's like way too many bulk EXs in Stellar Crown.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do that. But we are gonna ask a
Oh,
question
thank
about
goodness.
Stellar Crown because
Okay.
Stellar Crown comes out this weekend officially. So people are opening booster boxes. I saw today, hitting their chase cards. So this time I want to know how many Illustrator rare Pokemon
Dude, I knew
are
it.
there? Not okay, not EXs. So exclude the special illustrators, just the Illustrator rare Pokemon. How many are there? And I'll give you plus or minus one.
Alright.
Wait,
I'll
we
be
do that
nice.
on our own.
So you want to hit the number on the head then? You wanna
No.
go? Okay, all right, okay, all right. I'll give you
Alright,
plus or minus
alright.
one.
Are you gonna write this down, or you want me to write it down?
If you can write it down,
Alright.
or I can write it down if you need me to. Yeah, I was about to say I don't even know if I know any. What's the
Come on, you know some of them.
I pulled one at a pre-release too, and I was what I'm annoyed because I can't remember what it was.
And I will say
okay.
this
we
is
have
not.
to
It does not count the promos.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Well, I know the Noctowl doesn't count. Okay, so we got the Joltik, that for sure.
Yeah. Joltik, there's Turtonator.
You what? You knew that?
Turtonator, he's like in a tree. I
No,
saw
I
like three
I know
people
what the
pull it
Pokemon
today.
is.
Okay.
Fair enough. Actually, you're at the card
there's-
store. You saw people pull it.
There's Crabominable. There is
Oh, there's a Ladian. I saw someone
Yeah,
post that on Twitter.
Canadian. Now I'm kind of stuck. Joltik, Turtonator, Crabominable.
I mean, any of the other like basics. There's a Arch. No, is that the Archerdon EX that people were talking about, or is there an Archerdon?
There's a regular one. I
The
don't
regular one. There's
know if
a
it got
alt.
it. Is there one?
Well, there is a regular, a non-EX one.
Yeah.
I think
That got an
there is one.
illustrator.
Let's put one for that.
Alright,
I'm down to
alright,
just like I'm down to just like say 14 and let it send. Honestly,
14's kind of a lot, though.
is that a lot? Well, I guess if we're not including
I-
secret illustration rares.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trivia has just evolved into like Eric giving us some obscure counting
Ish.
game, and then people enjoying watching us flounder for 2 minutes. I have fun with it though.
Basically, yeah.
We should just start like compiling data of like the averages from every set in existence, and then just like add 2 because Pokemon's always printing more new cards for more money.
That's facts.
Bro, if you just like study the new sets, you'd be like,
What?
We'd be gods.
Maddox, why'd you go 0-4 Baltimore? Thought I was staying up all night studying this
Did you
exact
know
counts.
there's 9 illustration rares?
Hey, did you know there's 14 grass types?
God, I'm kind of stumped. Isn't
Anyways,
there a
if we
Garganackle?
Gargan,
Is that a real
they print a
Pokemon?
new. Okay, well, it's a Pokemon, but did they print one in this set?
I,
Like, I don't think
I,
they did.
let me find out if a Garganackle's in this set.
I
There
it's
is a
the
Garganackle
it's
in
the
this set.
Well, there's a Garganackle EX, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that doesn't count then.
um
If we didn't
could've-
name your favorite illustrator rare in Stellar Crown,
We are
comment
sorry.
it below and say, Maddox and Parker, how dare you forget about
There's definitely some of
Squirtle
those
Squirtle
that,
and
like
Squirtle and Bulbasaur?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say,
dude,
like, how
I
did you
was
forget
about to
about
say
those?
I
Bulbasaur,
just
yeah.
remembered those.
I was gonna
I was
say,
like,
how did
what's
you
I was
guys
like, what's a
forget about
Pokemon? There's
those?
definitely not an illustrator rare. That's a popular one. It's like, oh, but it's like, oh wait, no, there is a Squirtle and
You were
Bulbasaur.
definitely gonna get clowned for forgetting Squirtle and Bulbasaur. So
True.
good catch.
So what do we say? We're at
Yeah,
like 6.
I remembered that like while you were talking.
It's the same.
I feel like I saw like a Caracosta, but I also just might be like tripping.
Yeah, the problem is like I follow Pokebeach, so there's like a Bruxish illustration rare, but I think that's Surging Strikes. So
True,
I'll bank that
true.
one for like 6 episodes from now when we talk about that.
Oh wait, is it the Gulpin like eating the cake?
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
in
Gulpin,
this
Gulpin.
set?
Yeah, Gulpin's in this one.
Is
Yeah.
that one?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I
okay.
pulled that one. I should know that.
Oh, you did? What the? Oh my.
Ugh.
Um.
Anyways,
So we got
12.
we got we got Joltik, Turtonator, Crabominable, Lady, and Arcolodon, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Gulpin. Um.
There's at least 5 more, right?
I feel like it. I feel like there's some like anime ass artwork. Like
Okay, that's one of the 5.
yeah, like he was like I don't know, doing some ninja stuff, but I don't remember what Pokemon.
All right.
That might not even be this.
I think for the sake of the segment, we got to lock in a number here soon.
Yes.
All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. I think there's 4 or 5 more.
Wait,
I mean,
can you
sounds
name
close
what you
enough
have
to me.
again?
We have 8 right now listed.
What do you have?
Joltik.
Joltik, Turtonator, Crabominable, Ladian, Archelodon.
Wait, go
Squirtle,
slower, brother. Go slower. Joltik,
Joltik,
yeah,
Turtonator,
yeah,
Crabominable,
yeah,
Ladian,
yeah.
Archelodon, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Gulpin, plus 4 or 5.
Yeah.
All
All right, Parker. Well, rock, paper, scissors. If I win, it's 5. If you win, it's 4. Deal?
All right.
All right. Rock,
okay.
paper, scissors.
Shoot.
Okay, you got
so we're doing 4. So it's locking in 12.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll lock in 12.
Well, the good news is no matter who won that, you guys had it. You had it with the plus minus. So there is 13.
I should have won. I'm sorry, everyone.
For those of you that were
won
listening
rock,
on
paper,
Audio
scissors.
Boom, on podcast platforms that couldn't see that, Parker and Maddox just did rock paper scissors to figure out the plus or minus. So the ones you missed were Meditite, Milcery,
Oh, I saw the Milcery. Yeah.
Milcery.
Reboot.
I remember.
Lilaleap and Zeraora.
Damn, no Caracosta.
Oh, the Zeraora.
I'm tripping.
No, well,
Actually,
you said it was Lilaleap instead of Caracosta. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually have Zeraora on my desk. I just pulled it tonight. So
Hey.
Anyways, that was a lot of fun as usual. I love tormenting you guys with those kind of questions. So sorry about that. But let's get to more fun questions. I got a quick hitting segment for you guys. Some questions. I want answers from both of you for each question.
For
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. I have two questions that are most likely to happen. So you pick one of the two. First one is Lugia in top 8 or Ancient Box in top 8? Most likely to happen.
Can I pick both?
No,
Most
All right.
likely. I'm going Ancient Box.
Ancient Box.
both
But
you
I
go.
feel like they'll both be there.
Okay, you're both going to Ancient Box. You feel like they're both gonna be there. A TSS member in top 8 or a DDG member in top 8?
EDG.
DDG, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Between some of the stacked casts already, and they got some of their new aged up in the Masters. Someone's gonna put on a show. Also, we
Okay.
already had we already had a top 8, and we had both members in top 8 in Worlds. I forgot. So, and Rob and
Okay,
Michael Gracie.
so Thorns or Snorlax has the better control deck? Control finish. Like which one has the better control finish?
Uh, um, Alex can go first, I
I think
guess.
Thorns.
Are you talking about one single finisher?
Yeah,
Like,
like
what's gonna finish better?
what's gonna finish better?
I'm going to go with a hot take and say Snorlax because like a top level player plays it.
Okay.
And just dodges all the Petron.
Okay.
Yeah, or like hits like 2 or something.
All right. Higher finish, Regidrago or Charizard?
Is Tord gonna be it in Baltimore? If yes, I might be taking Charizard. uh I might be going
So
Zard
hard.
either way.
So hard. It's just like
Well,
who shows up with what, who does like I'll say Drago. I'll say Drago.
yeah, I'll go Zard, even though my heart wants to say Drago. My heart
More
says Zard. No way Zard can pull it off.
more likely to show up in Baltimore, Etchy or Azul? Both of them have been
Is it
potentially not going because Stellar Crown is releasing this weekend.
say who or Azul?
Say Etchy.
Etchy, yeah.
Oh,
He'll be there, I
I
think.
mean,
He said on stream today he might not go.
Well, Azul's definitely not going, and Etchy lives closer, so I'm gonna give it to Etchy.
Okay.
is Azul definitely not going?
He said that a couple times now.
Sure.
I guess we'll find out on the Uncommon Injury podcast this week.
True.
What's your answer, Barker?
I guess Etchy then, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
now
Insider
haven't keeping up.
intel.
now we're jumping to random questions for fun. These are like you can talk a little bit more about them. What's the best non-meta deck that has a chance to make top 8?
Oh gosh. I was like, what's non-meta? It's like something
Non-meta.
someone pulls out of their binder and like sleeves up or like
Yeah, so non-meta would be like Palkia Dusknor, Petront, sorry, not Petront, Loyal 3, blah, blah, like Lost Tina, I would say is a non-meta deck. Um,
mm.
Turbo Lost Box, what
Oh, it's Lost
Palafin,
Box.
things like that.
It's Lost Box.
Huh?
Lost
Lost Box is
Box.
your answer?
Yep.
Lost Tina specifically or Turbo Lost Box?
Turbo.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely like I could see like, someone cracks the code on Turbo Lost Box, just dodges the Dragos, replaces double Manaphy and goes on a hot run. Other than that, I do think that like, if we're talking like true binder drop, right? Someone could just pull together some like Arceus atrocity and I think do pretty well. Speaking of Arceus atrocity, shout out to my world's opponent that played Arceus Charcadet and was cooking. Played the Hearthflame Mask Ogrepon, one shot Ogrepon, or sorry, one shot a Regidrago. Kind of cooking.
I
That's
think
the
that
140,
deck is
right?
like
Evolution
actually
thing.
Sorry.
yeah.
That's the 140 evolution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next question. How many points will be required for asymmetrical cut?
Hmm.
In the worlds, there was one less round, and it was 30.
Jesus. That he was asymmetrical cut.
Yeah, for asymmetrical cut.
That's what. 30.
I mean, 33 is the easy
32.
answer, but I do think it could be one or two less.
32 is what I'm going to say.
I'll go 33.
33. I mean, I think if you get 7, you got 28, you got 4 more rounds, you get 3, you go 3-1. What is that number?
You go 3-1 in day 2, and you go 7-2, then you have 30
34.
match
Yeah, you're out.
points.
Yeah.
And you're out, I guess. Golly.
Wait,
Well, I mean,
no,
yeah, no.
7-2 plus.
The whole point is that if you enter 7-2, you got to go 4-0 to make cut at like or close to 4-0. Like
Yeah.
3-1 probably won't cut it.
Yeah, so 30's out then for sure, right?
Yeah.
So the number is probably going to be 32, 33. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, 32, 33. Interesting. Jesus. Okay. What's the best turbo deck? I'm thinking like, Maridon, Turbo Moon, Raging Bolt, like decks like that. What's the best turbo deck?
Honestly, I think it's got to be Bolt. If you're purely talking about going turbo and just taking turn 1 knockout, I think probably Bolt. But like that being said, which deck do I think is the best? Probably Moon. But I think being a turbo deck, Bolt, I've just never not seen them have it.
Yeah, I mean, Bolt has like a high level of consistency. I do think something to be said about Turbo Moon and just how consistently they are able to chain knockouts, right? They're a little less reliant on hitting Asada. They play 4 Pokemon catchers, so they have lots of ways to easily find that gust on you. And Dark Patch plus like Judge gives them other ways to steal games. So I'll give a slight nod to Turbo Moon.
Yeah, so all those decks kind of take 4-ish matchups to Charizard, which has got some heat online lately. Which of those decks has the best Charizard matchup?
Probably not Maridon.
Oh yeah, Maridon's the worst matchup for sure. We didn't talk about that, but I think the fact that like Bolts, I guess I gotta say Bolt has the best Zard matchup, even though like on paper it's still a loss. Just the fact that you're asking more of your Charizard opponent. You're saying, hey, I can go threaten you with a knockout on your key guy, or just go and KO Rotom or something like that. And then if they respond with the Zard EX, then you have the immediate answer of an Ogre Pond to be able to easily create that. When you're playing like Big Moon, you have more issues that they can go like a Heat Tackle Charmander or Steady Fire Breathing, or they can go Dusclops, and there's a little more ways to like potentially deal with that. So I think a slight nod to Raging Bolt just because you're asking a little bit more of your opponent, even though you're still unfavored.
Yeah. I agree. That
agree?
is what I'm going with. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way Maridon can win is if like your opponent goes Pidgeot and you play the future booster and like
Go
weird
boss,
stuff
boss,
happens.
boss. Yeah, I
But
mean, you can just go boss,
yeah,
boss, boss. That's what they're trying to do, I think. That's
yeah.
the from Maridon players
basically.
I've talked to. That's kind of what they're attempting to do. Where do you see Gardevoir finishing? It's like the best finish for Gardevoir. How high can Gardevoir get?
Top 32.
I'll go top 16. A little extra faith in Gardevoir.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's making ASIM cut, but it might, squeeze its way, limp its way with you know, they hit 3 Dragos, they lose to 2 of them, but tie 1, end up with that, 31, or end up with that like 31, 32.
yeah. So you just mentioned it, Drago. Is it still the best deck in format?
I would say it has to be. Um, I could see that like maybe somebody could say Zard at the moment. Someone could say Lugia. Because if Lugia sets up like it wins most of the games, I think it sets up like well, but I guess you can say that about any deck.
Yep.
Yeah, I think as long as a metagame revolves around one deck, and being able to your success at tournament being dependent on how you do into that one deck, then it still remains the best deck in format. So since we have aggressive turbo decks being successful because they have good Regidrago matchups, and the fact that you're playing Relors and Mist Energies and stuff in Zard, or that you're talking about Lost Box with double Cologne or with double Mana Fee, like all of that stuff is because Regidrago V-Star is still the best deck in format.
Yep, I agree with that. Where does Lugia fall? Can it win the tournament?
I think so.
Hey, if you get Ultra Ball double chops every turn and you only hit one Thorns, then yeah, you're gonna win.
Yeah,
I think the question
Yeah.
is also just are you able to, like, if you can beat yourself, if you can like defeat your own deck's inconsistencies, and again, lots of Regidrago lists are still gonna be playing Temple, um, which that matchup can get a little dicey if they can two prize race you. And there's gonna be a lot of Miraidon run around. So you have the odds stacked against you. Again, I think in a perfect world, if you dodge everything, it'll work out fine. But I still see Lugia still having a pretty tough time at this event, just with the success that Miraidon and Iron Thorn saw, uh, you know, at Worlds.
yeah. Yeah, well, that was fun. I enjoyed kind of making some of those questions for you guys, just thought-provoking questions. But from there, well, without further ado, we'll jump over to our tier list creator, thanks to Trainer Hill, and build out our tier list for Baltimore of what we think is the best plays for the tournament. We again, while the tiers are labeled S, A, B, C, D, we just kind of look at it as top shelf and down, right? Just pick from the top. If you want to win the tournament, probably pick something from the top shelves. If you don't, then go from there. So with that being said, let's start at the bottom. We looking at all our decks. What are some decks that are here that you want to like call out and put on the bottom?
On the bottom,
What's in D
um,
tier?
I mean, this might sound crazy given that it just won Worlds, but I kind of think Thorns is a little bit low on the list.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm
Ancient Box
open
is
to
getting a lot of
discuss it,
heat, so that's
obviously.
why Thorns is getting worse,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's having a
Yeah,
bit of a tough time, I think.
yeah. I mean, definitely a deck a lot more people are ready for. I don't know if I'm ready to put it like D tier, but I think like still somewhere like towards the lower shelves that like C to D tier.
We'll put it here for
It's a
now.
deck that people are ready for.
How about the
Yeah.
Loyal Three? Is this better than D?
I think if somebody legitimately put time into the list and playing it and stuff, it could be up there. But right now, yeah, I would say it's down.
Yeah, and I would just argue it's not as it's just a worse Turbo Moon at this point.
Yeah. What about Lost Zone Box? Still, it's
Probably still in
still,
that lower tier,
it's
yeah.
still like in the D play, right?
I think it's
Yes.
C.
I
You think
see
it's
your
C?
C or D somewhere there, yeah.
All right, we'll put it in C for now. What about our beloved Goldango, our friend Abby's favorite deck? Where does this fall?
So listen, for me, I think the ability to go like you have a single prize board and then like boom, evolve, knockout. It might be better than people think.
Yeah, I think it's a good deck. Its inconsistencies are the problem with it. Like no one has found a consistent list.
Yeah.
Sets up
Solid,
every
solid.
game.
Yeah, solid C or B tier at best. I don't think it's in D, but still probably not at that level. Even though we did see a couple of strong top 64 finishes with Goldango
The brothers, right?
at Worlds, yeah. The
Yeah.
Kawasaki's, yep. Shout out to
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Lost Box Zard, is it better than regular Lost Box?
We're
How's
talking
that like
Sable
Sable
Zard.
Zard or
Sable
is
Zard,
that
yeah. This is like Sable Zard.
and maybe is a tier above?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better.
Radiant Zard's just like insane into the meta.
Yeah, Radiant Zard's pretty good card.
And you actually have space for double mana fee and
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
and Sable Zard if you want it.
I think
yeah.
Giratina kind of goes in this same column of B.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Think
that.
so.
All right. Let's see. Anything else towards the bottom? So we got
Yeah,
Chenpal, Dragapult, like these four down
Dragapult probably
here.
still in C. Pidgeot Control. I don't even know where to put that, but probably still in like C somewhere. Um,
Parker, what do you think about Dragbolt? C or C?
See, maybe it's just me giving the deck like more credit than due, but like kind of hard for them ancient box decks to hit 320 and like I don't know.
Maybe it is a better play because there's more ancient box right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
There really isn't that much more ancient box. Online metas are not indicative of what's going to show at Baltimore, but I will talk more about that
But
later.
I think cup metas are like somewhat indicative, and there's just ancient box flooding like every cup. But I don't know.
That's the best of one format, right? They're a little bit better in best of ones than they are best of threes.
No.
All right. Let's move on. Let's pull out Chen Pao. I think this is on the same level with Iron Thorns.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't think it's like I think it's like a good deck. I think like these like this column here struggles against a really good Zard player, a really good Drago player. That's kind of how I see
Ancient
this
Okay,
column.
box.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
I think Snorlax with again with Ancient Box coming into the meta, that Snorlax is kind of a C tier play. I mean, we kind of saw Azul's group played at Worlds and they didn't really get that strong of a finish. Kind of shows where it is in this meta. Um, I think it's just not a super strong play for this tournament.
Yeah,
You agree with that when the C tier?
yeah. I
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
it's not higher than B. I mean, C or B. I mean, I do think, it has some. It's like it's better than how it's listed, but just the prevalence of Petron EX and so many successful decks now just really makes it a hard time.
Yeah,
And some decks that already have a naturally good time into Snorlax.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think Pidgeot control. If you want to play control, I think Pidgeot belongs in B, just because it's if you're good at it, like the deck just has so many options. You can mist energy things. You can play charms on your Pidgeys. You can Thornton your Pidgeys. You can play double cornerstone. There's just an infinite number of possibilities that if you're like, an Alessandro level player that loves playing Pidgeot control, like I still think it's a B tier play. I think it's on the same level as like if you want to play Giratina, if you want to play Lost Box, Sablezard, Goldango. I think it's on that same level. Like if you're comfortable with the deck, is kind of how I evaluate that.
I see that.
That's fair.
All right, so now I think we get down to the kind of like the 8 decks. Like these are the 8 decks that we know is going to be in the field, right? That's like these 6 are going to compromise our top 8, right? Whether it be we don't know what 1 through 6 is. We'll talk about that after our tier list, but our 1 through 6 will come from these 6. So let's talk about S and A tier, and let's just kind of like compare these 8 decks. Which ones go on the top shelf? Which ones go on a little bit lower shelf? I think we all agree Reggie Drago goes on the top, right?
Rodrigo's top.
Yeah.
And Zard's top,
Zard's top.
Yep.
I think. I think
I think Gardevoir has to go in A.
Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah.
bottom shelf. I mean, yeah, it's
I mean, it has a
it
tough
Lower
hasn't
time
it
into these
hasn't
two
it, ha-
decks,
it
right?
hasn't earned it hasn't earned a spot in top shelf.
Yeah, and
That's
it
the way I
has a
look at
tough
it.
time into these 2 decks, right? Drago and Zard.
Yeah. Also can be rough into the ancient box too.
True.
I think Raging Bolt is probably warranted a spot on the top shelf.
Ooh.
I think so too.
I mean, so let's think about it, right? It takes a really good Maridon matchup, which will see play, like we'll see increased play. Um, I guess it takes a good Turbo Roaring Moon matchup too. It takes a
Yeah.
bad Ancient Box matchup, takes a bad Charizard matchup, and Gardevoir. So it's got 1, 2, 3 good matchups, 3 bad ones, and Lugia's kind of like 50-50. So yeah,
I mean,
Did you kill the
you're
Lugia?
drastically favored into Reggie Drago. Plus, you have a way to win against Charizard, and if you play Vacuum, then your chances against Gardevoir goes up significantly. I think the fact that the deck is so consistent and just has strong, and it has like very commanding matchups into some of the key decks is what gives it its spot there.
I agree. It's also like in terms of taking a deck to the tournament, like it's pretty linear. You like attach your energies and play Sada, like
Yeah.
roll catchers, and like it's kind of hard to mess that up if you're like know what you're doing kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I'm comfortable putting it up there. I think Lugia, just because of the, the stigma it gets and Maridon being around, that like it has to go an A and it can't go higher than that.
I agree.
Um, what about Ancient Box? There's a lot of Ancient Boxes running around. There's the full single prize Ancient Box. There's the hybrid Ancient Boxes that, kind of Azul posted. What do you guys think about Ancient Box? Is it jumping up to the top, or I mean, Charizard matchup's not great, but it takes a good Lugia matchup, takes a good Drago matchup, good Bolt matchup, good Turbo Rearing Moon, good Maridon. All those big basic decks. It takes a pretty good matchup into those. So is it an S tier play for this tournament?
I put it at like towards the top of A, I would say.
Top
Not
of
that
it.
we're ranking them there, but like
Yeah.
that's where I would put it.
Yeah, a really good deck, and we know that a lot of players in juniors and seniors division believe in it a lot. Right, so Gabriel and Vinny Fernandez play it to a lot of success. It hasn't proven itself in Masters. I don't think while it is gaining a lot of hype. I do think that there's still some inherent weaknesses to it. It has its own consistency issues,
Yeah, a little bit.
and can fall over to those, and especially with a good opponent. So I think it's a deck that I wouldn't be surprised to see be a breakout deck and could potentially be a strong part of this meta for as long as it lasts, with only a few weeks left. But right now, I don't think there's enough proof for it to move out of A.
Okay. Now we're down to our last two decks. Maridon. Jesse Parker took it to a top four finish at Worlds in this current meta. In this format that we're in. Where does Maridon stack? Is it S or is it A?
I say A. I've
I
kind
think
of
so
always
too.
always
Yeah.
been a Maridon like not enjoyer, but like like said it was good for Worlds and it still is good now, but like I don't know if you're not knocking out the Reggie Drago turn one, like I think you just lose on the spot. If you're not like going 2-2-2 somehow against Zard that had to play Pidgeot, like I
Yeah.
just don't really think there's a way.
I think your Bolt matchup's a little unfavored
World
too.
matchups unfavored, Ancient Box unfavored, Guardian favored, Lugia favored, but
Yeah.
like
Wait, how do we spin around where Maridon's unfavored into Guardy?
well, okay, if you get turn one hands, they have a 0% chance of winning. But if you don't, then I think
And that's
it's like
inconsistent and happening, right? Like that's like for me
I don't know
bro,
about that.
I don't know. All my
bro,
opponents,
when I
man,
pick up the deck, man, like them generators just don't be hitting.
all those games
Play
against
more energy
Thomas,
then.
he got
Bro, I was
turn
playing
one attack.
15.
But, yeah,
I,
Jesse
I,
played 16.
I
Figure it
know.
out.
I just hate being dependent upon a lucky item thing. Um,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
for
Well,
me,
yeah, they're
like I could
playing
just
Rare Candy or Generator or E-Switch or Vessel, the Sada, or Pokemon
it's
Catcher.
always something,
I mean,
right?
the game's
Yeah.
just items.
Yeah, it is something. I mean, I think for me, it's just kind of like on the same level as Lugia, that like it's a good deck, it's strong, it can win. I don't know if it's like the play for the tournament, especially since like Jesse did so well with it. Like it's very like known in the meta now that people are kind of ready for it again. Um, okay, so that leaves us with the second place list, Turbo Roaring Moon. I mean, it's just gotta jump to the top, right? It's just gotta go in S tier, just because it's like so fast and also very consistent, has disruption in it, has Pokemon catchers, it can flip the right coins, but isn't an S tier play for this tournament.
Mm.
It's right on that line. I mean, I said it was the better Turbo deck than Raging Bolt, so I think I have to put it in S. But I don't know. I mean, they like the list that got cooked up from Japan and that several players brought. Right, it's a really, really good list. I think we'll see it with a lot higher play again. People love playing Roaring Moon once Ross Cawthon came out with his list and had some good runs with it before rotation. I think we'll see a similar, growth in this. Not quite the level where it became the most played deck like at Knoxville, but it'll be around. Is it an S tier play? Hard to say, but it's pretty good still.
It's an A+.
A plus. Am I the tiebreaker? What's going on here?
I think you're the tiebreaker. And I think I know what you're gonna say, and I'm okay with that.
I think it's an A tier play.
Oh,
I think
really?
I think it's on the same shelf with these decks. I think like these are the three decks that are very, very good, and you can play anything in A tier and also win. But like I don't know if
Correct.
it's better than these. I don't know, Turbo Roaring Moon to me is just a little, it's gimmicky, right? You gotta flip the heads, you gotta draw pretty well. It's like if that doesn't go well in the first two turns, you don't lose. Now what I will say, right? Roaring Moon, Miraidon, and Raging Bolt, and maybe even Lugia. They're good plays for the tournament. Why are they good plays? Because the format says you have to win 7 rounds or get 21 points to go to day 2. They're faster decks. You can finish your games. You won't be worrying about that gentleman's agreement we talked about earlier. So I like those decks for those reasons. If you're worried about that, so maybe that moves it up a tier because of that. But I guess we'll kind of see how this tournament shakes out with ties and match points and what happens with people. And we'll see how kind of the format evolves.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's our tier list for Baltimore. So hopefully you enjoyed that discussion. Leave a comment below of what you think about our tier list and what you think is going to win Baltimore. And we're going to talk about that next. We're going to talk about our meta shares. So we got our tier list now. We'll jump into our tier list. As always, we're football fans around here, even though the Jags blew it on Sunday, a 17-3 lead. That was brutal. Anyways, we're gonna do some drafting around here. Maddox, you're the visitor because you're in Baltimore now. You're no longer in Jacksonville, so you're a visitor. So you get the number 1 draft pick for the number 1 spot on your board. Who's gonna what deck's gonna have the highest meta percentage and what percentage will it be?
Oh, I mean, listen, undisputed champion from the World Championships. I gotta give it to none other than Reggie Drago V-Star as my number 1 draft pick. Again, we saw the success the deck had. People recognize that success, and it's already a good deck. Again, the deck that has an answer to everything, even in its bad matchups. So I think without a doubt, it's still gonna be the most played deck at Baltimore.
And what percentage are you gonna say? It
It's
was
not gonna be
25 at
25.
World.
Not gonna be 25% like the World Championships. It's a little too narrow, or like there's less players and more of them are focused on winning, so more of them are gonna play different decks like this. I think Reggie Drago probably ends up somewhere around that, like 15 to 17%.
Okay. Parker, what about you? What's your number 1
Reggie
pick?
Drago. Reggie Drago, 19%.
19.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's Charizard. Just to be different. I know probably won't be right, but for content's sake, I'm gonna say it's Charizard, and I'm gonna say Charizard's at 18%. We're gonna do a snake draft, so I'll take Drago second at 17%. Parker, second pick.
Zard, 13%.
Maddox.
See what I said? I said 17 for Drago.
Yeah, you said 15 to 17.
Yeah, I think we'll go. Then we'll see a little increase in Zard. I'll go 14 for Zard.
All right. You're up with your third pick. What's the third deck?
Number 3. We're gonna bring it back to NAIC with some Raging Bolt right there at 12%.
Parker, third.
Lugia, 11.8%.
Not the 11.8. No way.
7.8.
Too specific.
For me, what are players gonna play? I'm gonna say But people love them generators though.
Really out here trying to create content. Gonna put
Well-
Maridon in at 13%.
Bro, it's either Maridon or Bolt, right? Like it's one of those two, right? I'm gonna have to say Raging Bolt, I think, just to like be correct and try to get something right.
Bro, no way Lugia is at 11.8%. I
I'll
can very
go
confidently say that because 11.8 is so specific.
I'll go 14% for Raging Bolt, and then for fourth, I'll choose Maridon, and I'll put Dawn at like 10%. Parker, you got
Ancient
Bolt, you
box.
got Bolt and Maridon on the board, and you're choosing Ancient Box.
Ancient box.
Woo!
10 something percent.
It's more people playing Lugia and Ancient Box than Raging Bolt. All right, hot takes.
All right, Maddox, you've got
Hot takes only
Dragozard,
found.
Raging Bolt. What next?
Yeah, hot takes only found on the Beach Court podcast. Except for me, I keep it a buck. I'm saying, hey, this is going to be exactly what your meta chart looks like. At me if I'm wrong. So number 4, we're going to see a little bit of a drop off, right? We're at like the 17, 14, 12. We're going to drop down to like 8%. And we're going to bring it back with bring back the old goat of pre-rotation, Roaring Moon, at 8%.
Roaring Moon. Okay. Maddox, number 5.
Oh, and I gotta go again. We're gonna bring it back with, again, everyone else's favorite go fast and hit generators deck. Like that one time I was hyping up Maridon. If you're playing Maridon this weekend, you got this. Maridon 7%.
Parker. You
Raging
got
Bolt.
okay. Eventually, you gotta like
9.7%.
Okay. I will take Ancient Box in this spot at number 5. And I'll say 8%. And then for my number 6, I don't think Moon makes the chart. I don't think Gardevoir makes the chart. I think Maridon will be. Oh, I already got Maridon. Okay, so I got Lugia, Moon, and Gardevoir. Which of those 3 I think makes the chart? Bro, I'll love some Lugia. I'm gonna give it to Lugia at like 7.5. And not far behind, I think you'll see like Roaring Moon at like 7%. But all right, Parker, what's your number 6 last pick on the board?
Roaring Moon.
Moon, what percentage?
8 something.
Bro, killing you these somethings. Maddox, last and final pick.
Last one. So Lugia shows up for some reason, even though
Yeah.
you should probably just stay home with Lugia.
It always does.
7%.
Okay. All right, so to recap, Eric has Charizard, Drago, Bolt, Maridon, Ancient Box, Lugia. Maddox has Drago, Zard, Bolt, Roaring Moon, Maridon, Lugia. And Parker has Drago, Charizard, Lugia, Ancient Box, Raging Bolt, and Roaring Moon. None of us had
Content.
Gardevoir on the top 6.
Content, baby.
Interesting. So we'll
Is
see.
it that interesting though?
I mean, people love their Gardevoir too. You know, if you're a Gardevoir player, I don't know. Yeah, probably not though. Probably not. Anyway, so that's our tier list and meta predictions. We'll see what happens in Baltimore. Please drop your comments below on what you think. Last comments before we jump off of here, Parker. What's winning Baltimore?
Charizard. Wait, didn't I say Drago would finish higher than? No, okay. I have to say Drago for continuity's sake.
Okay. Maddox.
What's
not,
winning?
You are not allowed
Baltimore?
to say Drago since you said Zard is better than Drago.
So
What's winning Baltimore? You know, could we ever see Raging Bolt actually win a regional? As I said that, it felt wrong. So I'm going to go with no. Give me Zard. Only because I said Drago was losing. It was worse than Zard.
I think that Ancient Box is winning. So I'm going to stick with my guns. I think Ancient Box is a solid play for this tournament. I think it's going to pull out the win. So we'll see what happens in Baltimore. that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Beach Court Podcast. Catch us all in Baltimore. Come say hi, introduce yourself. Make sure you please leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment below at the Beach Court Pod on Twitter, here on YouTube. Come enjoy some of this content, and we'll have this out to you, and we'll see you in Baltimore. Thanks everyone for listening.
Park, you got to say the thing.
Oh, see you.